Everyone, this is Cameron here. So this video essentially is the first of a series in which I'm going to basically do a whole tutorial guide series for my workflow in creating AI videos of like this sort of nature, kind of like how I did the Arthas one. Just going through my whole workflow process, trying to give some like additional tips or tricks. Yeah, just to make it easy to guide you through getting into this sort of space if that's something that you want. Because I have had people reach out asking for, you know, a full step-by-step process of how to do this sort of stuff. And it is really fun once you get into it, but yeah, you do sort of have to kind of like develop a good workflow. Otherwise it just seems a little bit overwhelming. There's just a lot of steps and a lot of different things to consider. And anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first part of this process, which is essentially creating the script and then using the script to then go create the images. All right, so the first step in the process of making an AI film or video involves basically having a general script or a general theme / story / idea for, you know, you need to have an idea of what you want to make before you can make it, you know, for obvious reasons. So the first step for me is typically going to this custom GPT here called Film Producer Guru that I made. And really its primary role is just to help you develop your plot and script. But also later on down the production line, I also use it to assist me in figuring out what sorts of AI animations to use for particular scenes or images from Midjourney. But we won't be going into the animation side of it today. Today, really, all we're looking at with Film Producer Guru is its ability to produce plots and scripts for short films. So for this series, we're going to, I always thought it would be a cool idea to, you know, do some animations and images of like wizards or like mages and stuff, you know, like from Warcraft and whatnot. Probably not Warcraft specifically, but yeah, like wizards and mages and whatnot, casting like spells. So I'm just gonna say, want to create a film about a wizard or mage. You know, just something really basic like that. So, alright, it's gonna tell us that's a nice concept, it's cool. And essentially the way it's programmed is you give it your little like idea of what you want it to be on, and it will give you 3 plots to choose from. That being said, you don't have to pick, you don't have to pick one of these plots if all 3 of them aren't that appealing to you. But it's just, you know, generally I find that there's usually one of the plots within the first 3 that I'm okay with and I can go down. And I usually will take these plots with, you know, I'll use it as a baseline, but I'll probably change up the story myself after. I mean, it's very rare that I'll take a plot from like this GPT and then be like, awesome, that's the full story, I'm not going to change anything. Usually you'll make minor changes down the road, but it's good to get you like the initial plot, something initial to work with that you like the idea of. So let's have a look at this. We've got the last arcanist. Yeah, so it gives you the setting, gives you the story, gives you the theme. We're gonna go with the Mage's Apprentice just because it kind of sounds cool. Like I like the idea of a mix between, you know, it's a magic metropolis, thrives on spellcraft technology and arcane innovation. That sounds sick. All right, let's go with plot 2. Now, I use this GPT to come up with my plots and themes. However, this GPT, as you can probably already tell, is far from perfect. And there actually is another platform called Lewis that's owned by a company called keytalk.ai. And I've been using that recently because they've reached out to me and, you know, to basically get my sort of feedback on their platform. And it's actually very, very good. It's really good for anyone who's getting into this who just wants to, do exactly what I'm doing right now, where you just, you know, you kind of have an idea of a theme and a plot, but you want, you know, an AI to go into all the details of it and really expand upon your ideas. And the Lewis platform is very, very, very good for that. And one of the biggest upsides of it is that it doesn't just run on like OpenAI's ChatGPT model. You have the ability to use Claude, Google Gemini, there's like an Amazon model, and then Mistral. So it's basically linked up to all the latest models that all have a very distinct way of storytelling. So there will be a separate video made all about Lewis coming in the future. I'll just show you guys real quick while we're here. So if you go here, lewis.keytalkai.com, and you'll be able to start up a new account, and you'll get 300 credits that you can basically, you know, use for free. And yeah, you can just start creating all your characters, whatnot. Now, keep in mind, this platform is, you know, very new, and it's, you know, it's only just been developed not too long ago. So there's still a lot of features that are coming that are in development. But I will say that, you know, it looks very promising, and it looks like it's going to be the one-stop shop for any AI filmmaker who just wants to come in, have a complete story outlined for them, and you know, all the characters, the plots, the scenes, the environment, the world, the universe, and it even has an option to do your music, you know, your background music and stuff like that in the future, which is, you know, that's insane, because like that aspect can take so long in any production, and it also costs you money as well if you want to do it on YouTube without getting copyright claims. So yeah, highly recommend this platform. I will be making a full video on Lewis in the future, but yeah, if anyone just wants to check it out in the meantime, and you know, if you have any questions about it, you can hit me up you can send me a message or an email or add a comment to the video essentially, and I'll answer your questions as best as I can. Anyway, back to this GPT. So here we go, we've got our characters. Yep, so we've got Kai, we've got Master Theron, we've got Council Vara, we've got Mira, we've got the plot points. I'm not reading through all of this just because, you know, I don't want this video to take all day. The rising action, climax, conclusion, setting's very important. You know, you need to have a really nice visual description of a setting, so that when you go into Midjourney, you can do this nice and easily. Cool, and then the visuals and film style. Right, and then the next steps. So, for the next steps, I'm just going to say, can you give me a complete rundown of the first scene? We're only going to do the first scene just because, like, for the purpose of this example, we're not going to go and create the, you know, images and whatnot for every single scene. We're just going to go with the first scene. All right, so scene number 1, arrival of the Metropolis. Okay, so this is giving a lot of, this is really going into a lot of detail about his interactions with the guards and everything. For the purpose of what we're going to cover today, which is basically creating scenes in Midjourney, we're looking mainly for the visuals. We're not worrying about the narration and all that stuff yet. So visual and sound design. The scene is rich in color and detail. Early morning light casting a golden hue over the city. Okay. This Kai explores, the camera follows him from behind. Scene conclusion. Alright. Scene opens it. Okay. So, we're trying to create the scenes. So what we need to take note of now is the location, the visuals down here. We actually don't need anything to do with sound, so we'll take all the visual information from this, but not the sound information. And we also just need the overarching theme. Sorry, which is down here. Yep. So it will be more about the setting, and it'll just be the whole thing essentially. All right, so we've got all that. Just checking that there's nothing else. Cool. So the next part of the process is once we've got, like, you know, our plot, theme, first scene, we go into the next part of the step, which is another custom GPT that I've made that is basically designed to help you create cinematic prompts for Midjourney that you can directly just copy paste in and get some good outputs. So this one's called Midjourney Guru. I'll put a link to it down below, just like there will be for the Film Producer Guru, so you guys can go and use them as much as you want and give me any feedback, because they are 100% not without their flaws. Apparently, OpenAI has said that whenever you start a conversation with your custom GPTs, they automatically review the knowledge in their knowledge base. I'm a bit paranoid about that, so I just always start off with, please review all the knowledge in your knowledge base. Just start off like that. And it will always come back with like a little summary of all the documents that are within the knowledge base. So there's a few documents, I think there's like five documents in this GPT, so it'll just give me a quick little rundown of them. It's also good for like anyone new using the using this GPT to do this, just so you can figure out what kind of like information is actually in it. And I would definitely recommend and encourage you to ask this GPT what it's like, how it's creating these prompts, like how it's deciding what to use, ask it what the prompt structure is. You know, sometimes that can actually be good, because when it recites the prompt structure that it uses to you, it actually makes it better at remembering to use it. So I would definitely, recommend. And then you'll also get an idea of what it's actually doing, which is helpful. But yeah, so essentially this GPT is mostly trained on a style of prompting called the atomic prompting structure, which is developed by a YouTuber called Cyberjungle. He makes all his content is just basically related to Midjourney prompting for cinematic purposes mostly. So all credit goes to him. And if you're watching this, Cyberjungle, then I really very much appreciate your work in the cinematic prompting side of Midjourney. So yeah, this is pretty much fully trained on his information, and yeah, it just has a few documents in here that basically just have a lot of information regarding how to use particular cinematic elements in a Midjourney prompt and what the elements do and when to use them. Now, the thing about Midjourney in its current state, Midjourney version 6, is that you get rewarded heavily for making your prompts as concise as possible. So the least amount of like text that you can put, like not just characters, but just like words or phrases in general. Because every time you put I guess you call it like a cinematic element or a phrase or term inside the prompt, Midjourney applies like a weight to it. And the more of these keywords, phrases, elements you have in there, the more like it has to spread what it actually focuses on. It has to spread that out based on all these different factors. When you have less of that going on, it can prioritize a lot more on what's there. So that being said, like sometimes you will get prompts come out of this GPT that are just too long. Alright, they are clearly too long, and there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. Sometimes having a very long prompt is what you need. Like sometimes you really do need all the little details that go with it. But if you're looking for something very specific and you use the prompt from this, and it's a long prompt, and it just doesn't come up with what you're asking essentially, like in any way, you have to trim it or you have to prune it. And I do that with a lot of my prompts, where I will take what it gives me and I'll put it in, and I'll just, before I press enter, because I don't want to go and generate something that I think already is not going to yield a very good result, I'll have a look at it and just try to determine on the spot if all the terms and keywords that it's used are actually relevant and suitable for this. And if not, I'll delete it and try and make the prompt a bit shorter. So in the past, for like, you know, versions of Midjourney prior to version 6, so like 5.2 was the version just prior to 6 coming out, putting the long prompts in, actually, you got rewarded for that. Like the more detail actually generated better outcomes. But version 6 is very much like we've had to change up a lot of how we think about prompting. So there's a balance between details and concisiveness. Yep. Anyway, so there's a few documents in here. So like some prompt examples. This one has a lot of information in it, and then the atomic prompting structure is all found in there. So I've asked it to review its knowledge. It knows that. That's good. So I'll just put, I'm making a AI film on wizards and mages. I'm going to provide you with the overarching plot/theme of my film, and also the also a description of the visuals in the first scene. I would like you to create cinematic prompts depicting this first scene, and then I'll go down there. I always do a bracket when I put stuff like this in. You don't have to, but like I feel like it's a way of letting the AI know that there's like some important information in this. So I'm just gonna put this whole plot in here, and then I'm going to do visuals for first scene, and then open another bit of bracket. Actually, let's actually do plot. I know I've got put the plot there. I'll put all the prompts that I'm using in here in the description, so that if you want to copy it and just basically take out my, you know, what I've got for a plot here and put in what you have, that's completely fine. And hopefully it actually gets me a good result. I pretty much always YOLO this, like, so it might actually turn out with fucking shit. So hopefully not. Sorry, that was on Midjourney for a second there. Visuals for the scene. Let's go. Induction. Alright, I'll just put visuals for the scene, introduction, and then go down. Scene 1. So I'm just essentially going through here and just taking anything that has visual descriptions of the setting and the scenes. That's pretty much all you can give it. You never want to give the Midjourney GPT any additional information on things that has no business trying to sort out. Alright, so what I'm referring to there is things like audio, narration, camera transitions. I mean, that one's a bit tricky. Sometimes it is important to tell them what the idea of the animation is going to be, because then it can generate images which are starting out like the first frame, because obviously when you create an image and then you go animate it after, the image is the first frame, right? And then it has a 3 or 4 second animation, and then that's the final frame. So, you know, you would want the first frame to be suitable for whatever the animation that you're planning on doing is. So sometimes it can be useful to sort of give it like let it know that, hey, with this this is my planned animation. Maybe you know that the thing you're trying to do is going to be difficult, and it's really important that the first frame is ideal. But that's getting, that's a bit too advanced for this video. Like, we will go into something like that in another video, which is, on more advanced sort of aspects of this. But for now, we're just going to keep it basic. Is there any more visuals? Yep. So the scene is rich in color. Cool. And we'll just... he'll do that. And then doing... Cool. What did I say about this? I'm making I would like you to create cinematic prompts. Please create 4 prompts depicting the different visuals within the first scene, or the scene described above. And this last part, I always add, please take a deep breath and work on this task step by step. This is just like some AI fucking hack, I guess you could say, that there's like, there's a whole research paper that came out on how when you ask AI to do stuff step by step, you get better results. Well, there was one particular paper that found out when you ask it to take a deep breath and then work on a task step by step, it got even better results. So the AI can breathe. Yep, you've heard it here first. All right, and when you ask it to breathe and take a deep breath, you get better results. So perfect. We love it. All right, based on the plot and visual description, craft 4 cinematic prompts depicting the visuals of the first scene, focusing on Kai's induction and awe-inspiring introduction to the city. Each prompt will highlight different aspects of the scene as described, utilizing atomic prompting structure for precision and impact. Cinematic landscape. So I'm just scoping out these prompts, determining if they're sort of, yeah, I guess they're alright. So this first one is a 21:9 ratio. I don't typically do 21:9 in, well, at least in any of the videos that I've made so far. I always go 16:9, but that's just a me thing, and I do know that, like, you, especially with opening scenes, you can, using 21:9 can get you a really cinematic looking sort of experience. So we're going to go with 21:9 for this. Maybe it will, change my mind on all of that. And I forgot to mention this at the start, but when all of these GPTs, you do have to have a ChatGPT Plus subscription to use. So I'm sorry if you don't have it and you're on a free version. I will try to come up with a method that you can use if you're on a free version, or like provide you with a guide. But what I'll probably end up doing is just redirecting you to CyberJungle's videos on this atomic prompting and how he does cinematic prompting. And if you just watch his videos and learn, look at all his examples, and he has a free PDF that is really like fully detailed. I'll put a link to that as well in the description. All credit to CyberJungle. But yeah, if you follow that, you can write your own prompts. You don't need this GPT, because this GPT is essentially just trained on the content that I'm going to direct you to anyway. If you don't have, like, let's say you just don't have any ideas for what you want it to prompt. Let's say you haven't went into the film producer and you just don't have any ideas. You can ask it to just, hey, can you, I don't really know, can you give me some examples of some cinematic scenes you can generate? You can just say, I don't have any ideas. Do you have any ideas? And it will generate you some prompts for some ideas. And these are examples here of prompts that were made just from doing that. So we've got like a freaking Blade Runner looking neon type city. Pretty freaking cool. We've got, this one's pretty awesome, Roman legions clashing in battle. I love that. Yeah, this would be a great scene to animate. Insane. And then, space. bit more of a noir looking scene. But yeah, you can basically get it to generate the scenes for you and come up with the ideas for you on what it should generate. But yeah, so essentially, if you haven't used Midjourney before, how you get Midjourney to work is, well, you sign up to, you have to have Discord for it, unfortunately. They are rolling out the web interface at the moment, and like they are, and you know, I should get access to that probably in the next week or so, but I honestly have gotten used to using it on Discord, and I kind of like using it on Discord. I don't know why, it's just obviously after using it for over a year just in this one place, it's just become like muscle memory. But essentially, so you'll sign up to their Discord server and there'll be all these channels here as well, the newcomer rooms. I think this is where they put you when you're on like a trial account, and you'll go in here and yeah, you'll basically create images. But like the problem is that you have to, I mean, this can also be kind of cool if you're into it, but you'll see everyone else's prompts and images as well, which, I mean, you know, it's kind of cool actually. We've got the Pope shredding a guitar here, so, you know, not the worst thing in the world. What's going on here? I mean, yeah, you got that. Yeah, let's see, this is the problem, right? You come in here and you end up like not actually creating any images because you just scroll up and look at other people's. All right, so you got to keep it. You got to be disciplined. So to create an image, you come down and / or backslash, I can't remember which one this is called, and you'll see a list of things here. Imagine is what you use to do the prompts, but first thing you actually want to do is you'll go and open the settings, or you do / settings. So when you're in the settings, you'll have this drop down box here. This is where you select what version of Midjourney you use. Now, for most of what you'll want to do, you'll want to be using version 6 alpha or the latest Niji model version 6 alpha. So Niji essentially is the version of Midjourney that they developed that is primarily used for sort of more, I kind of just call it the anime model because it's really good for making like anime / sort of illustrated, I don't know like the correct term, but you know, just like a lot of anime or non-photorealistic sort of images. But surprisingly, Niji version 6 can actually generate some really good realistic looking images. Like the previous Niji models couldn't do that. They primarily were used for making sort of more this like anime Japanese type of look, but no, this one is really good. So I actually use the Niji model quite a bit for stuff now. But yeah, we'll go into that after. There is a particular way I'd like to use the Niji model, but for now, let's just focus on the primary use you're going to have, which is version 6. So click version 6 alpha. And then we've got all these other settings here below that can look very overwhelming, but for the most part, you don't have to worry about most of them. Everything on this bottom line here, you don't really have to worry about it. It's always going to be set to fast mode by default. Just keep it on fast mode, especially when you're on like a trial account, or if you're on like the cheapest version of subscription. The only thing you can really use is the fast mode anyway. In terms of high variation and low variation, it just means that when whenever you create an image with Midjourney, it gives you a set of 4 images like you see here. If you've got it on high variation mode, it just basically makes the variation between the 4 images a lot higher, and I much prefer it because you'll find that in some cases it gives you things that just look completely different, but that's what you want because you're trying to look for that one image that is fitting what you want. Like, so yeah, if you put low variation mode, it tends to give you 4 things that look kind of similar enough, but they've got subtle differences. So that can be useful in some cases if you're going for something very specific and you know exactly what you want, but there are ways that you can do that while also being in high variation mode. So I would just keep it on high variation mode, but do what you feel like you need to. Remix mode, for people starting out, I would actually turn this off. This is something I'll go into in a later video, which is, for more advanced sort of ways of prompted Midjourney. But to start off with, when you're first getting into this, just turn remix mode off. Don't worry about it. And then we've got the stylize options and raw mode. So stylize, the way stylize works is that it's a value between 0 and 1000, and the default, which is stylized medium, is 100. How it works is that the higher you go, so the closer to 1000 that you go, the more it gives it a very sort of aesthetic, artistic sort of look. But when it does that, it compromises by not following your prompt as closely, and just kind of, you might ask for an image of a cityscape with a red car in it, for example. If you do that, with stylized medium or the default on, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get a cityscape with the image of a red car in the image. If you put it on stylized 1000, there's a pretty probable chance that you actually won't get you probably won't get the red car, for example. You might still get the cityscape and it will look freaking really artistic and aesthetic and whatnot, but you won't get the other things you're asking for. And then the opposite of that, if you go to stylize 0, then that's when it follows your prompt as closely as possible. So if you're asking for very specific things and you want very specific things and your main objective is to get the very specific things, I always recommend using stylize 0 or stylize 50. I'll show you how to put that in a prompt later, but just so you know, if you go stylize 0, that gives it so you can see it here. It's this parameter here, --S50. So that's stylized low. Stylized medium, it doesn't show it, but it's basically --S100. And then you've got stylized high, which is 250. Stylized very high, which is 750, but you can go up to 1000. So yeah, I keep it at medium, but I oftentimes will do --S0 when I'm asking for stuff that's very specific. Because honestly, even when you have stylized set to 0, you still get really awesome looking images with Midjourney. So don't think that you're gonna suddenly have very boring generations and whatnot. And half the battle with Midjourney is getting it to come up with exactly what you want. All right, so --S0, really good for cinema, especially for film, trying to create films and stuff, because you want consistency. Raw mode is an interesting one. Raw mode is not to get confused with stylize, having something, see how it comes up with the parameter here, --style raw. Style and stylize are two different things. And style raw, there's two different styles with Midjourney, or at least in Midjourney version 6. There is style raw, and then there's no style raw, which is essentially Midjourney's default style. And you'll just notice when you use it, raw mode tends to give you more of a photorealistic sort of look, and raw tends to also follow your prompt a bit closer, especially when you're asking for things to be cinematic and very realistic looking. But honestly, since version 6 has come out, the difference between realism between raw and unraw is not that big anymore. So I honestly experiment with it all the time, where if I don't like the image I've got when I've got style raw on, I'll just run the exact same prompt through again with it turned off. And honestly, sometimes it's better with raw on, sometimes it's better with raw off. So it comes down to personal preference. It comes down to the particular type of image, the particular type of subject or theme that you're going for. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. The rule of thumb is, though, if you're really trying for super realistic, you want your image to look really photorealistic and not look sort of fantasy or fake in any way, then the rule of thumb is probably keep style raw on, especially if you're using the Niji model. If you're using the Niji model and you want something to look realistic, you need to have style raw on. If you don't, it will look like a illustration of some sort. All right, so those are the settings, and if you want to get rid of this after, you just click this dismiss message and it will go away. So now we can basically go into the main heart of Midjourney, which is the Imagine prompt. So you either click on this or you just type Imagine space and then a prompt window will come up. And this is where we get to basically either type in our prompt or copy paste our prompt. Because we're using the Midjourney Guru GPT, we'll be copy pasting our prompted for the most part and doing some pruning like we did earlier with the image that I did in the Midjourney bot window. So the reason that where I was doing my Midjourney images before is different from this is that because when you subscribe to Midjourney, you then have the ability to click on the Midjourney bot here, or right click it actually, and then just click message. And that essentially just takes you into like a private message sort of window, DM sort of window with the Midjourney bot. And you can just do all your Midjourney generations in this, which is way better, because now you don't have to worry about looking at everyone else's images. You just have a history of your own images. All right, so we've run through that first prompt that we got from the GPT earlier, and this is what we've gotten. Pretty cool. Definitely not what I was expecting to come out like when I had envisioned in my head of what that looked like, but I'm gonna go with it. This is a very they really emphasized on the golden hour sort of lighting, which is, I like it. Really good opening shot. And if we wanted to change some things in here, like for example, let's as a experiment right now, let's see what happens if we turn off style raw. Because I like the image and I kind of just want to see how this particular prompt is affected by style raw, by comparing the two different outputs. This is what the same prompt generated without style raw. I think I like the first one better because this one looks more like a mix between magical and technology, while this one kind of reminds me more of just magic. That's pretty cool, the one on the bottom left here, but this literally just looks like some of the images I've been generating trying to do Lauder on in the Arthas series. So hey, maybe I can use it, but it's not, probably won't go with that. All right, so first person perspective. So in this case, Midjourney, this is something that the GPT can struggle with, especially when you do it like how I did it, where I've given it a full script with the story of characters. It will sometimes put the name of this made-up character in the prompt, and that just doesn't work. Midjourney has no freaking clue who Kai is. Obviously, if you put the name of someone that Midjourney is likely to know in here, that helps. Like if I put Batman exploring Metropolis, Midjourney knows who Batman is, so that in that case it's fine. But Kai, it doesn't know who Kai is, so we get rid of that. And we'll just put a man. Wait, what was it before that? It was Kai exploring. Okay, we'll put a man exploring magical Metropolis. Yep. LA Modern Golden Light. Yep. Cool. Come in here and we'll grab the next one. We'll put that in as well. That's pretty freaking cool. This reminds me of that movie, Mortal Engines. Awesome movie. You can definitely use. That is just, that's awesome. That's cool too, but it's not in the golden hour lighting. That one could be used too, because that is the golden hour, so that's cool. So, oh wow. Whoa, all right. These ones are awesome. We can totally use these. So we've gotten some good images, and see, this was actually a very long prompt, but the result is great. The description was good. Because one thing about prompting in Midjourney is that the words, or keywords that are used at the beginning of the prompt are weighed more heavily or focused on more heavily than the words at the end. So like, that's why the word cinematic is always used right at the beginning, because we're looking to create like a cinematic sort of scene and look. And all right, looks like it's almost finished. I don't think it's what we want off the bat, but it looks cool nonetheless. See, we've got this image here, which, I mean, pretty freaking cool. So this image here is the only one that's viable in a sense because it actually shows Kai, you know? So let's say, okay, we want to go with this one, but maybe not just this image in particular. What we can do is we can use these buttons. So one of these variation buttons down here. So I haven't really talked about these buttons at all. Essentially, all of these buttons do is they correspond with the images in this grid. So number 1 being up here, number 2 being this one here, number 3 being there, and number 4 being there. And the U just stands for upscale. But it doesn't immediately upscale, it actually just gives you a range of options you can do with that particular image. So for example, I'll just click upscale 3 since that's the one that we like. And yep, and you'll see here I've got 4 things that I can do. I can do upscale subtle, upscale creative, very subtle, very strong, very region, zoom out, custom zoom, change it into a square because at the moment it's a rectangle, it's 60:9 ratio, and then we've got this option which is to pan up and pan down the camera. So like if I click down, it will basically generate an image where it's like, if you imagine that the camera's perspective right now, it's like pointing downwards a bit. So this particular instance, I don't actually want to do anything with any of these buttons. I was just doing that just to show you what happens with what the options are. But very subtle, just basically like if you click one of these, it will basically give you another set of 4 images that look similar to this. Especially if you click subtle, it will basically look like 4 of the same image, but there'll be subtle differences in each one of the images. You know, there might be, this building might not be there, this castle over here might be shaped a little bit differently, Kai might look a little bit different. It'll just be little small differences. Very strong is the one that we're more interested in, where it will give you 4 much, you know, obviously different images, but kind of based off this general like theme or setting. So it's good because like out of this grid here, this is the only one that actually has a person in it, which is what we want. We want Kai. So very strong on this is good because we're probably going to get another 4 images that all have a person in it. So we're going to click very strong. Very region just means that if you click it, you essentially can like drag a box over like an area or something, and then you can type in a prompt. You can type in some like words here, basically like change something. Like you might decide you don't want a person here. You want like, you know, you don't want Kai to be there. So you might drag a box over him and then just type no people or delete that man or whatever, and it will get rid of it. Or it will, you know, most of the time it will work and it will get rid of it. So very region is more of an advanced prompting technique, and I'll do a separate video on that because I do use it a lot, but it's yeah, it has very niche sort of use cases. All right, so we did very strong, and we got 4 more images of a guy or a Kai essentially standing out, looking out at the vast magical city. So they're all different, but they're all definitely like similar enough in the sense that they're all kind of like this guy standing on the bottom left and he's looking out at a big city and whatnot. But you know, we can go with it. Like we can definitely work with this, and like we might have to go back into ChatGPT and say that, hey, we didn't quite capture, you know, that first person perspective look that we were going for. So can we like create some more prompts that, you know, may have a chance of doing that? So we'll be okay with this image. Let's say we just use this original one. So let's say that, all right, we've got all these images now. We've got, we're happy with what we've got. So what would be the next step? Well, the next step would be obviously to go to Midjourney and to download them. So all right, so we've got all our images here. So in most cases, this will be enough well, not really, because obviously the default size of this image I just downloaded is quite small. It is 1456 by 816 resolution. I use this piece of software called Topaz Gigapixel AI to upscale my images. It is the best, I would say, piece of software right now that you can use to to upscale your images in general, just because it's just, the upscale quality is good. It's also the fact that you can do a whole lot of images at once. So like I can go over to where I just downloaded all those images. I can add all of those in, and it has like an AI model here and settings that essentially I just leave on auto. So it will automatically select out of all these models here which one to use to upscale, and I've got it set to ×4. So we're taking these images from a 1456 by 816 resolution to a 5824 × 3264. I'm going to save all of those, and I'm just going to create a new folder called test scale, set to JPEG, quality to high, and go. So yeah, Topaz Gigapixel is amazing, mainly for this right here. Like the fact that it's obviously its upscale quality is really good, but it's the fact that you can do a large amount of images very easy. That took me all of like 5 seconds to put in and whatnot, and then you can just sit back and just wait. Right? It's just better than most other image upscalers in terms of efficiency and how much you can get done. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it is very well worth it, and it's just a once-off payment. So yeah, highly recommend, if you want to get into this seriously, investing in this piece of software, because yeah, it's really good for that. It's definitely one that you need. It also means that you don't have to use the Midjourney upscale, like, you know, what Midjourney wants you to. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Midjourney upscale. It's just the fact that I think it does actually use up quite a bit of your like allowance for their service, and yeah, I prefer to just avoid that if possible, so I can focus on doing more generations. All right, so yeah, if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to cover specifically, or go into more detail, or just provide some more clarification on, please hit me up in the comments, or, you know, I'm going to add a Discord, a link to a Discord server that I'll be sitting in, you know, that where people can just join and ask whatever questions they want. There'll be a link to that in the description. And this is just the first part of a series. I know you can't imagine that, like, shit, I've ranted on for so much that there could be anything else that comes after this, but there's going to be all the videos on the animation side of things, and then the post-processing of those animations. Animations itself is already a very big topic. And then once you've got all your animations and your scenes all good to go, then how to finally take it into like DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use in particular, and put it all together into a little piece. All right. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this content at all, can you chuck a subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And yep, until next time, see you later.